Hello everyone, in this video we're going to cover the basic fundamentals of JavaScript, and here is a list of topics that we will be covering in this video. Some of the fundamental involves variables, constants, data types, objects, arrays, functions, conditional statements, loops, and switch case. So let's first talk about variables. Variable is a name given to a memory location which acts as a container for storing data temporarily. So variables are containers for storing data or data values. That is, they are reserved memory location to store values. To declare a variable in JavaScript, use the let keyword. In this example, I have declared a variable age by using the let keyword, and then I have stored a value 22 in it. So here a memory location is assigned to the age variable and it contains a value 22. ES 2015 introduced const keyword to define a new variable. Variables defined with const keyword cannot be redeclared or reassigned. Constants are fixed values that don't change during execution time. To declare a constant in JavaScript, use const keyword. Const variables must be assigned to a value when they are declared. So always declare a variable with const when you know that the value should not be changed. Sometimes the keyword const is little misleading. That is, it does not define a constant value. It defines a constant reference to a value. In programming, data types is an important concept. To be able to operate on variables, it is important to know something about the type. JavaScript provides different data types to hold different types of values. You can assign different types of values to a variable, such as a number or a string. There are two types of data types in JavaScript: primitive data type and non-primitive data type. There are different data types such as numbers, strings, boolean, undefined, and null. And these are the 5 types of primitive data types in JavaScript. String represents sequence of characters. Number represents numeric value. Boolean represents boolean value, either false or true. Undefined represents undefined value. Null represents null, that is no value at all. JavaScript is a dynamic type language. That is, it has dynamic types, which means that the same variable can be used to hold different data types. Object is one of the non-primitive data type in JavaScript. Objects are variables too, but they can contain many values. To declare an object in JavaScript, use let keyword. The values are written as name and value separated by a colon. And make sure to use curly brackets in such a way that all property value pairs are defined within curly brackets. So instead of declaring different variables for each property, you can declare an object which stores all these properties. JavaScript object is an entity having state and behavior, that is properties and methods. In real life, car is an object. A car has a property like weight and color and methods like start and stop. Objects are variables too, but objects can contain many values. And this code assigns many values like Fiat 500 white to a variable named car. JavaScript is an object-based language. Everything is an object in JavaScript. JavaScript is template-based, not class-based. So here we don't create class to get an object. Instead, we will directly create an object. An array is a special variable which can hold more than one value. JavaScript array is an object that represents a collection of similar type of elements. An array is a data structure that contains a list of elements which store multiple values in a single variable. An array can hold many values under a single name, and you can access the values by referring to an index number. To declare an array in JavaScript, use let keyword with square brackets, and all the array elements must be enclosed within them. The syntax of creating an array is given here. As you see, values inside the square brackets are separated by commas. So in this syntax, we have created an array and then we have provided the elements. You can access an array element by referring to the index number. Now let's move on to JavaScript functions. JavaScript function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. A function is a block of organized reusable code that is used to perform single related action. A JavaScript function is executed when something invokes it. And the syntax is given here. To declare a function in JavaScript, use function keyword, which is followed by a function name, a list of parameters, and the function body. Function names can contain letters, digits, underscores, and $sign, similar to the rules of variables. The parentheses may include parameters names separated by commas. And the code to be executed by the function is placed inside the curly brackets. Function parameters are listed inside the parentheses in the function definition. Function arguments are the values received by the function when it is invoked. Inside the function, the arguments or the parameters behave as the local variables. When JavaScript reaches a return statement, the function will stop executing. In this example, the product function returns the product of two arguments. This function will compute the product of A and B and return the result. Next, let's see conditional statements. Conditional statements are used to perform different actions based on different conditions. Conditional statements are used to decide the flow of execution based on different conditions. If a condition is true, you can perform one action, and if the condition is false, you can perform another action. A conditional statement is a set of rules which is executed if a particular condition is met. In JavaScript, we have the following conditional statements, which includes if and else if. You can use if statement if you want to check only a specific condition. The if statement is a fundamental control statement that allows JavaScript to make decisions and execute statements conditionally. It is a conditional statement used to decide whether a certain statement or a block of statement will be executed or not. That is, if a particular condition is true, then block of statement is executed, otherwise not. The syntax of if statement is given here. Here a JavaScript condition is evaluated. If the resulting value is true, the given statements are executed. If condition is false, then no statement would be executed. Most of the times we will use comparison operators while making decisions. To declare an if statement in JavaScript, you need to use the if keyword. Let's see an example of if statement. In this example, I have defined an array of numbers and then I have defined an if block. And this block of statements include condition and a statement. Using if statement, I am checking the condition that an element at index 0 and element at index 2 are equal. If it is true, then it will print the statement correct. Else if condition is used to specify a new condition if the first condition is false. Else statement is used to execute a block of code if the same condition is false. Use else if condition when you want to apply second level condition after if statement. And here's the syntax for else if condition. Here the JavaScript condition is evaluated. If the resulting value is true, the given statement in if block are executed. If the condition is false, then the given statement in the else block are executed. Let's see an example. In this example, I have defined an if block as well as an else block. So if the condition within the if block holds false, then the else blocks get executed. Using else if statement, I'm gonna check the condition that an element at index 0 and the element at index 4 are equal. If it is true, then it's gonna print the statement correct. If it is false, it will print the message wrong, please try again. Next, we will move on to loops. Loops are used in JavaScript to perform repeated tasks based on a condition. Loops can execute a block of code a number of times. Loops are handy, so if you want to run the same code over and over again, each time with different values, you can use loops. So loops are used to repeat a block of codes. For example, if you want to show a message 100 times, then you can use loop. JavaScript supports 3 different kinds of loops, which is while, do while, and for loop. While will loop through a block of code while a specific condition is true. Do while also loops through a block of code while a specific condition is true. For loops through a block of code a number of times. The while loop loops through a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. The while loop starts by evaluating the condition. If the condition is true, the loop code is executed. If the condition is false, the loop code is not executed and the loop ends. And the syntax for while loop is given here. We test the condition before entering the loop code. Let's see an example for while loop. In this example, I have defined a while loop wherein I have set a condition. As long as the condition is true, the while loop is executed. Try this for yourself and see what we get. The do while loop is closely related to while loop. This loop first executes the code and then checks the condition. And while the condition is true, it executes repeatedly. So if you want to run a code block at least one time, then use do while loop. Here is a syntax for do while loop. This loop executes the code block once before checking if the condition is true. Then it will repeat the loop as long as the condition holds true. Let's see an example. code is similar to while loop, except the code block within the do loop. Here the do loop is first executed and then the condition within the while loop is checked. If the condition holds true, then do loop is executed again. In this example, while a variable is less than 5, log it to the console and increment it by 1. So it will print the number from 1 to 4. A for loop is used to repeat a specific block of code a known number of times. Here is the syntax for loop. The for statement creates a loop with 3 optional expressions. From the syntax, begin statement is executed one time before the execution of the loop code. The condition defines the condition for executing the loop code. Step statement is executed every time after the code block has been executed. In this example, I have defined a for loop within which I have defined a begin, condition and step statements. The begin statement is the initialization part, that is I equals 0. So after executing the begin statement, the code within the for loop is executed one time. Next, the condition is checked. If I is less than 5, then the code within the loop is executed. That is, it defines the condition for the loop to run. That is, it must be less than 5. After this, the last step statement is executed. So this expression will increase as a value each time the code block in the loop has been executed. So it will iterate through integers from 0 to 4. Next, we will move on to switch statement. The switch statement is used to perform different actions based on different conditions. The switch statement is used in decision making. The switch statement evaluates an expression and executes the corresponding body that matches the expression's result. And here's the syntax for switch statement. The switch statement evaluates a variable or expression inside parentheses. If the result of expression is equal to value 1, its body is executed. If the result of the expression is equal to value 2, its body is executed. And this process goes on if there is no matching case, the default body executes. The break statement is optional. If the break statement is encountered, the switch statement ends. If the break statement is not used, the cases after the matching case are also executed. And the default clause is also optional. And here's a simple program using switch statement. In this program, an expression a equals 2 is evaluated with a switch statement. The expression's result is evaluated with case 1, which results in false. Then the switch statement goes on to the second case. Here the expression result matches with case 2, so the value 2 is displayed. And the break statement terminates the block and the control flow of the program jumps to outside of the switch block. So with this we have come to the end of the session. I hope you have a basic understanding of JavaScript. So in my next video on JavaScript, I will be covering in-depth concepts. So stay tuned.